don't get it twisted. We are just beginning. But one of the things that they have forgotten about this 50th anniversary of hip hop is that hip hop isn't just about people who had success in the music business. Everywhere you look, it's just people that made records. So does that determine the greatness of our culture?
Hell no.
I was telling people I'm not successful in hip hop because I made a couple of cool records and did cool things. We don't need the music business to have our culture. Why don't we let them dictate the rules and the regulations of everything? You know what I'm saying? So when you think about hip hop culture, the reason why this is important and the reason why we did it here in a record store, it starts with the music. First. The sound started with the music, but before that, it started with the art. It was the art that allowed hip hop to be considered an art. It started with the artist, the graffiti artist. It was like the comic books jumped off the pages and was on the walls and all the trains and everything. And people were looking at it saying graffiti wasn't good, but somebody that understood what art is said, wait, do you see what these boys and girls are doing? This graffiti is graffiti art. And that created a change in the communities because we was running around walking with our heads down low. We was hiding. But when they called it art, we started walking upright. Like we was worth billions of dollars. Like hip hop is $1 billion industry. But we was already worth billions of dollars because we saw that in ourselves. We didn't need nobody's approval. So it started with the art. And then it was like silent movies. The art was all over the place. Then the DJs put a soundtrack to it. Now look at the steps. It was the art first, and the DJs put it. And before the MCs came along, when the music came on, they told people back up and the breakdancers hit the floor. So it was art, it was music, then it was dance. And then you needed a master of the ceremony to tell you what was going on. In the beginning it was just like, yo, Rob, your mom's outside. Yo, the fireman and cops is coming. It was just announcements. But then we was able to tell our stories to all this music that started with all this art. So this 50th year anniversary of hip hop isn't focusing on back in the days or how it used to be or the old school. The old school is not a time period. The old school is a consciousness of how do you artistically or even more so creatively display yourself. It could be with art, like what Dave does. It could be with the music, like the DJ does. It could be with the dance, like the breakdancers do. And it could be with the words, like the spoken word artists and the poets. And the MCs who are now considered rappers. But if you look at this industry, y'all, let's keep it real. Why is our genre the only genre that allows bullshit to exist? Just because, no, it's cool that bullshit can make money, but other genres will not let nothing that is bullshit to the culture exist, and nobody gonna say anything about it? Could you come with a art form that's a new art form, but let it go into jazz to disrespect the legacy of that? Think about that. And I always tell, I go to high schools and middle schools and elementary schools now. I don't judge hip hop from being 58 years old. I don't judge hip hop from the old mindset, because what the children of this generation don't understand, we were young kids with high values of ourselves. That's why the music was so good. So this 50th year anniversary of hip hop is about this. Let's dig into the crates and bring out some more music and sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go dig into the crate. The future of hip hop is in the crates. It's not, I ain't gonna dig in the crates because that's old. No. Why do you think classic rock is called classic? Classic means better than everything after it for the rest of eternity. And it's the same way with old school, but you have this thing where they want to regulate what the music business has done to make promoting and marketing the things they only want to sell. They do hip hop on it. So it could be the worst thing in the world. You put hip hop on it, people don't think it's cool. Not because it is, it's because of us. They have taken our power and our legitimacy and they have marketed so that they can sell a lot of crap. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about judging another person's creativity. But when you look at rock and roll, you got punk rock, you got rock, you got alternative rock, you got metal. Everything exists in its own realm in space. Then you got the Nazi rap thing, you got murder rap, you got murder metal, and all of it. Everything that exists is just thing. But you can't take classic rock and throw it on murder rock and racist rock, right? Because they're not gonna make it happen. You know what I'm saying? You can't take porn jazz and throw it on classic jazz. Because they ain't gonna let it happen. It's us to us. You know what I'm saying? It's us to us. It's up to us to do this. 50 years of hip hop. For the last 20 years, everybody, I don't like rap, this and that. It's not because when you get older and you don't like the music, it's not because you're older. You're fooling yourself. You know, if you're 40 to 70 and you say, I don't like this new hip hop, it's not because you're older. It's because when you was young, you knew what was good.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Salute.
But we get caught up, oh, I must forget. No, you forgetting that you was young. You know what I'm saying? It's not because you're old. It's like when you was young. Like, we come from a generation where the negativity was understood, but it wasn't accepted. The 99% of the gangsters that I know that make hip hop records, when they make their single, they telling the young people, don't do what I do.
Exactly.
It's a difference. The greatest, I hate labels, the greatest gangster rap record is mine playing tricks on me. Scarface was saying, don't praise me like I'm a superstar in the hood because I'm selling drugs and it. At night I can't sleep, I don't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? We had Luke, we had NWA, but we also had De La Soul.
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
Jurassic 5. Let me take you West Coast. Jurassic 5. They was doing rounds and routines like the Cold Crush and the Treacherous Street on the West Coast. And then the other issue is where all the fully clothed women in rap. Now there must be a problem with the music business if they're not going to sign any more Bahamadeers. I didn't see that. Yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about taking anything away from what's popular right now. It's about understanding hip-hop has made some money, but we ain't really accomplished nothing yet. Run DMC inspired a white Jewish punk rock group called the Beastie Boys. They came out with an album licensed to L. And the diversity that they want to sell to us to say, look at us, we've been doing that without nobody's permission, right? So this 50th year anniversary is about inspiring and engagement. Let's get creative again. Let's get creative again.
Yeah.
You ready? So, incredible and all of that stuff. But they said when they saw Run DMC, you saw our greatness, you saw hip hop, but you saw something in yourselves. Whether it was fear, salt, and pepper, we just trying to be old. Ice Cube, we just trying to be old. Cypress Hill, we just trying to be old. But that's not get it twisted. Limp Bizkit. Porn. Rage Against the Machine.
Talk about it.
That's a powerful thing. That's a powerful thing that the music business could never profit off of that. They can't create that because it's already in. So the next 50 years of hip hop, the next 5 years of hip hop, because everybody's attention on it, should now bring some more De La Souls and Moni Loves to the radio stations. And the other line is, nobody want to hear it. No, people do want to hear it. Y'all ain't putting the budgets behind it so it can be heard.
Yep.
I don't care whatever music is out, there's a promotion machine behind it. We was doing meetings in the 90s and we would go to all of these, we was trying to get some artists signed out of New York because the New York sound changed. Because the only thing that happened in New York was they didn't want to keep fighting. They said, let's just jump on the bed and sound like everybody else. But I don't come from that mode. We keep doing it. When we brought Sucker Seas out, nobody wanted to sign it because it didn't sound like Planet Rock and the Message. And the Freedom, and they had no music, it was just a beat and you run rhyming. And if you know your hip hop history, that was the game changer. That means we can rhyme what we doing in the parks. We can yes, show. We don't have to sample the popular R&B record to be accepted. No, just boom, tat, let's go. So we're gonna take a tricky little walk down memory lane. Charlie Chan, you ready? Drop it, Pete. Rules don't mean anything. What I hate is this. Why is our genre the only genre that says when you get over 40 years old, you shouldn't be rapping no more? Like, that bugged me out. And the reason why it bugged me out was I had to sit around and say, let me see if that statement has any truth to it. Because nobody is going to walk up to Patti LaBelle and say, Patti, you're over 40, you can't sing your song. Nobody's going to walk up to Bruce Springsteen and say, Bruce. Look, the Rolling Stones are going to tour even after they pass away. They're going to be dead and buried, and next year they're going to come out the graves and the Rolling Stones going to. But why do they say that with us? So this message goes out to the music business, the critics, and all the young people. I don't care, the drill rappers are all cool, but you can't do what I do. You do what you do now, let me go with my 58-year-old ass. So this message goes out to all of the people who continue to let separation and ageism go on. This goes out to everybody who thinks that I can't be like Aerosmith and I can't be like all the jazz. You don't tell a jazz musician, you can't play no more because you're 16. Right? Think about that, right? For sure. So here's what I say to them. I don't know what you